Have you been dying to start a coaching program, but the process of actually setting everything up and getting started has been stressing you out? If that sounds like you, then don't worry because in this episode, I'm going to teach you how to overcome overwhelm and start taking the steps today to launch your coaching program. If you were to ask majority of people why they started their business, they will either tell you it's because they do not want a limit on how much money they can make, or it's because they really desire time freedom. A lot of entrepreneurs really desire to not have to put in as many hours as you would if you were working a job and still be able to make an infinite amount of money. So like with a job, your job tells you that you must come in 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and the only amount of money that you can make is, let's say, $22 an hour. But with entrepreneurship, you can set your schedule up where it's like, okay, I only work 2 hours a day and I can make $5,000 today. Then tomorrow I can make $50,000. Then by the end of the month, I can make $1 million. So there's no limit of how much money I can bring in. And this is why I love talking about coaching, because to me, it's one of the easiest businesses that you can build to get to the desires that you are looking for. So with your coaching business, you can have it set up where you only work 2 hours a week and you're making 5 figures, 6 figures, or even 7 figures from that income. And I know you're probably listening to this and you're probably thinking, well, if it's really that easy, then why doesn't everybody have a coaching program? But the truth is, as you know, the result that you receive is not what you start off with. In business, you have to build up your product and build up systems to run that product, run your marketing, and run your business in order for you to live the life that you desire. And usually that building process requires you to work a schedule that does not look like your desires. It requires you to put in money in a season where you're not going to be receiving money. So for example, when I'm starting my coaching program, although the end result is for me to work 2 hours per week, and although the end result is for me to make 5 figures, 6 figures, or even 7 figures, I might have to put in $500 to run my systems to start building for the business that I'm looking for. I might have to work 10 hours to build the coaching program, which is the product, so that once it's launched, I can start living the life that I desire. There's going to be a season in your business where you are going to have to sacrifice. And in that season of sacrificing, it's not going to look like the life that you are desiring. And a lot of people make the mistake of not being able to make it out of that season of sacrificing, and that's why their businesses fail. A lot of people get overwhelmed in these seasons. They feel like it's too much. They feel like it's too much stress. They feel like it's too much work. And then they just wind up giving up on this dream altogether. And they sit around and they envision having a business where they have that time freedom in their life and they're making this infinite amount of money in their life, but they never actually live it out because they can't get past the season of sacrifice. And that is why I wanted to create this episode today, because in this episode, I want to help you overcome that overwhelm that you are feeling and actually start executing your plan so that you can start living that life that you dream of. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to write out all of your tasks. When you are first starting your coaching program, the very first thing I need you to do is I want you to ask yourself, what are all the tasks that is needed in order for me to execute this program? So for example, if you're doing live content, let's say that you need to create the slides to go along with that live lesson so that you can present those slides on that live when you are teaching. Then you need to handle your graphics. That will be your sales page. That will be your marketing graphics. That will be if you're going to do a workbook in your coaching program. All of that is graphic design work that needs to be done in order for you to execute this program. Next will be your marketing strategy, right? So let's say that you want to do a challenge and you want to upsell people from your challenge to your coaching program. If your challenge is your piece of marketing, then you have to complete the task of building out that challenge. Next, let's say that you want to do some stuff on automation. Let's say that you want to send emails and, in those emails, provide them with the links to the Zooms for when you go live and when it's time to do the coaching calls. You have to set that up as well. So the point is, you're going to look at the coaching program that you are trying to build, and you're going to ask yourself, what all do I need to execute in order for this program to be launched? And I know looking at this list, it might feel overwhelming. It might feel a little stressful. It might feel like a lot, but that's why we're doing this episode. So don't worry, because in step 2, we're going to break everything down. We are going to take our task list and we are going to break every single task down. So basically what we're going to do is we are going to put that task at the top of the page. And underneath each task, we are going to write down the steps that is needed for us to complete this task. So for example, let's say that you plan to do a live training with slides. A step that you might need to complete underneath that task is number 1, building out the content that's going to go on those slides. Then another step that you might need to complete is actually going to a site like Canva and actually designing those slides and adding the content that you just built out to those slides. You should do this for every single task that you have that you need to complete in order to launch your coaching program. And when you do, you will notice that your list will look very long. You will see a lot of tasks that you need to complete, and you will see a lot of steps that you need to take in order to complete those tasks, right? But do not get discouraged. Do not start stressing. Do not get overwhelmed, and do not quit. Because step number 3 is going to make this a lot easier for you. Step number 3 is to plan everything out. We are going to take the task that we broke down and we are going to plan them into our weekly schedule. So for example, let's go back to us saying that we need to build slides for our live training. Well, you might need to build slides for 10 different lessons because you plan on doing 10 different trainings. So when you look at trying to plan out your task, you don't want to try to do all 10 lessons at one time. You want to look at your schedule. You want to look at what you already have going on. So if you have children, take that into consideration. If you have a spouse, take that into consideration. If you work a job, take that into consideration. Take into consideration what your current schedule looks like and ask yourself, how much time do I have to dedicate to launching my coaching program? This is going to look different for everyone, but this is going to help you plan productive steps into your schedule to ensure that it is moving you forward and getting you closer to launching your coaching program. So for example, let's say that the slides take you 1 hour to complete for each lesson. And let's say that you only have 2 hours a day to work on your coaching program. Well, you can set it up where it's like, okay, instead of me trying to scram and trying to do all 10 lessons at one time, I'm going to dedicate 2 hours out of my day to work on slide lessons, which will help me get 2 sets of slides done in each day. So that tells me that after 5 days, I will have that part of my coaching program done. The goal here is to pace yourself. The reason why you are feeling overwhelmed is because you are looking at everything that you need to get done, everything that you need to sacrifice, and you feel like you need to do it all at one time. But I want you to understand that Rome was not built in a day, and slow and steady wins the race, okay? You do not have to dump all of these tasks on yourself and try and get it done by the end of the week. You don't have to dump all of these tasks on yourself and try and get it done in a day. If you just do a little bit at a time, I promise you that that will go a longer way than it would if you were scramming. You know what else this helps you do? It helps you show up for your client in the best way possible. Imagine if you were just scramming and trying to get, let's say, all 10 of your slides done in one day. Your content will feel very rushed. It will feel like you're just getting through it just to get through it and get it launched versus you breaking everything down and explaining it properly so that your client gets the best benefit out of it. Slow and steady is not only going to help you relieve stress, but it's also going to help you ensure that you are showing up for your client in the best way possible so that they are actually getting value out of your service. And while we're on the topic of relieving stress, another thing that I really want you to not make the mistake of doing is creating an unrealistic deadline for your launch. So let's say that right now it is October and you have a lot of tasks that you need to complete to get this coaching program up and running. And those tasks might take you 3 months, right? I do not want you to create a deadline and say, okay, well, I'm going to try to get this launched up and ready by December 1st. That gives you only 2 months when you have 3 months worth of tasks to do, right? So that's going to put you in a mindset where you are stressing and you feel overwhelmed and you're going to start scramming and you're going to start trying to do more than what you can handle. That's going to put you in a mindset where you are going to start overworking yourself. You're going to start staying up to 3 o'clock in the morning trying to hurry up and get this pushed out because you want to hit this deadline. And I understand that we live in a culture, because I see this all the time online, especially with some entrepreneurial people, where they teach you hustle culture. They teach you that you have to sacrifice sleep. You have to stay up to 5 o'clock in the morning working the business. You have to skip out on activities. You have to, dedicate your entire life to your business until you get this thing up and running. And I want you to understand that although sacrifice is required, although you will have to work more hours in the beginning than you will once you get the result and start getting the programs launched, the most successful businesses are built on boundaries and systems. And boundaries and systems are not just something that you have to have with other people, but it's also something that you have to have with yourself. There's this saying that I love to say, right? And that saying is that success does not change you. Success just enhances who you already are. So if you are the type of person where you are always on go mode and you are operating in hustle culture, you are staying up to 3 o'clock in the morning working this business, obsessing over this business, you miss out on holidays, you miss out on your kids' activities because everything is about your business and making money. Trust and believe that when the success comes, that mentality in you will not change. It will just enhance. Right now, your excuse is that I'm building the business out. But once you start seeing the success, the excuse is going to change. That's going to be the only thing that changes, but it will not be you. Your excuse is going to change to, well, now I'm trying to sustain the business. Now I'm trying to grow the business. Now I'm trying to get a team, so I need to make more money, right? So you're going to start coming up with more excuses to continue operating in hustle culture. And that's why boundaries and systems need to be set now and not later. I understand that sacrifice is required. I understand that you have to put in more hours, right? But let's say that you have a system where you only work Monday through Friday. And you've been operating and including tasks for your coaching program in your schedule Monday through Friday. If your friends invite you out on Saturday, you do not have to skip because you have spent Monday through Friday operating in your business. It is okay for you to rest. It is okay to you to enjoy something that has absolutely nothing to do with business, because that's what true wealth is. Wealth is not slaving. You got into your business because you desire time freedom. You desire to be wealthy. You desire to live the life that you have dreamed of. But guess what? When you are in hustle culture, you went from slaving from a job, slaving for a paycheck, slaving for another person, to slaving to your business. You're not getting that time freedom that you're looking for. So this is why we are not building hustle culture. We are building wealth culture. And guess what? Wealth culture has systems set up. Wealth culture plans their day. Wealth culture paces themselves. And wealth culture does not scram. Now, I'm going to give a disclaimer, right? Because there's always going to be somebody who argues you down. If you have a demanding schedule, right, and you're trying to build out your coaching program. So let's say that you are in the health industry and you have to work 12 hours a day, 3 days a week. You might be asking yourself like, okay, well, if I stay up a little late and I work till say 1 o'clock in the morning, am I wrong because I do have to work 12 hours a day? The answer is no. If you have a demanding schedule and you have to stay up a little bit later in order to fit in your business into your schedule, that is okay. As long as you are not obsessing, as long as you are still creating boundaries and you are planning time to rest and you're not spending all of your free time on your business, that is okay. But that is still having a system set up, and that is still having boundaries within yourself. Also, there's going to be some people who listen to this and are going to say, well, see, she said that it's okay for me to go out to the bar with my friends or to go out to the club with my friends and not think about business. But I do want to help you understand that it is only okay to operate in your free time of doing things that you desire and doing things that you love when you have been working on your business. If you had Monday through Friday to work on your business and you did not, and then Saturday comes and your friends invite you out, do you think that you should go out? Or do you think that you should create some boundaries with yourself and say, since I did not do right this week, I should not get to enjoy this weekend? That's where boundaries come up. You only reward yourself when you do right. And if you did wrong, you don't get the pleasure of going out with a friend. You don't get the pleasure of engaging in that hobby. So I hope this gives you more clarity of what I mean. But to bring this full circle, I know what it feels like to desire something so bad. But when you look at the steps that's needed for you to actually execute it, you are filled with overwhelm. You are filled with stress. You are filled with fear. And you allow that to spark procrastination in you and keep you stagnant in a place that you do not desire to be. But if this episode showed you anything, I hope that it showed you that you don't have to stay here. You don't have to keep procrastinating. There is an easier way to start working towards the life that you have been desiring. And if you just take the step to start building out systems, you can launch that business. You can have that time freedom, and you can make an infinite amount of money. And so that is all that I have for you today. Before we go, I do have an action step that I want to give you to do this week. So sometime this week, I want you to take 20 minutes and list out every single task required in order for you to launch your coaching program. Then I want you to choose just one task. Break that task down into micro steps and start scheduling those steps into your week. Remember, you do not have to do everything at one time. Pace yourself because slow and steady wins the race. But that is all that I have for you today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe so that you get a notification every time a new episode is released. Also, leave a review and let me and others know how you enjoyed the show. And if you want to stay connected, follow me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Prospering with Christ. But that's all I have for you today, and I will see you next week.